Hello humanoids, welcome to Halfling Hobbies. I'm Halfling Hannah and I love monsters. There's no denying that they're a lot of fun to throw at your players. But there's nothing quite so satisfying as the look of terror on their faces as their friend wastes away to something that they don't understand and can't stop. The realization that all their training, all their skills can't save the people that they've come to love as family. Now that is a real plot twist. And wow, being a DM can send you to some really dark places. That is what I find entertaining. Oh, I might need some help. But as I was laying in bed pretty much all week because I have been horribly sick this entire week, you can probably still hear it in my voice, and this is probably going to be a short video because it is incredibly difficult for me to talk. But as I was laying there in bed, I thought to myself, why don't we use diseases more in Dungeons and Dragons? Why don't we see more of those things come into play? And then I realized it's because, well, they're kind of lame. And so this video is all about how you can start using diseases and curses in your campaign and make them really awesome. So here we go. So let's talk about diseases. So I did a video, golly, it's gotta be like a year ago, before I had the studio, before I had the setup. I did this video on 5 diseases in Dungeons and Dragons, and that's pretty much the only diseases that D&D actually gives us. And so if you want to check out those 5 diseases, the video's right there. Forgive the quality, please. I was beginning then. And really they don't give you very many diseases, but they do give you kind of an idea of how to create your own. But I mean, especially as new DMs, if you don't give me something, then I'm probably not going to play with it until later when I'm a little more comfortable with the whole process. And so now I've really started diving into diseases and curses in Dungeons and Dragons, and oh my gosh, they can be so much fun. But why don't we use them? Going back to our first question, as I was laying there on my deathbed, why don't we use diseases in D&D? Well, the answer is they're super lame. And almost all of them can be cured by the Paladin ability of Lay On of Hands, which they get at like 2nd level. Now, of course, if you don't have a Paladin in your group, then diseases can become a little more dangerous to low levels, but even still, it is low levels. At higher levels, you have to literally have 0 magic ability in your party for diseases to be actually threatening. And so it feels like D&D has kind of just eliminated the threat of diseases as a whole in Dungeons and Dragons, which is super lame because, I mean, the idea of having this great and powerful barbarian be taken down by a disease is kind of cool to me, and I kind of like that concept. So today we're going to look at how you can create diseases in Dungeons and Dragons and make them awesome and epic again. So if you like this idea, make sure that you like and subscribe to Halfling Hobbies because I do stuff like this all the time. First thing you need to decide for your disease is incubation time. How long is it going to take for symptoms to start appearing? Now, the quicker your incubation time, the less time that your players have to figure out what's going on and try and find a cure for it. So honestly, the more immediate the threat. However, if you have a disease that has a longer incubation time, it could be really difficult for your party to figure out even how they got the disease in the first place and then how to cure it, which can create kind of this slow burn in your campaign. However you want to do it, what I normally do is I roll a d4 or d6 depending on what I want to do, and I choose either minutes, hours, days, or weeks. And whatever number it is, that is how long it takes for the incubation time in that particular person. So if you roll a 4 and you decide on minutes, then literally 4 minutes later, they begin to develop some of the symptoms. Or if you roll a 4 and you choose weeks, then it's 4 weeks later, that they begin to develop those symptoms. And you need to make a note of that as a DM so that you can be sure to bring that up at the appropriate time. So the next part you need to decide is symptoms. So all diseases have symptoms, whether they're super subtle or very, very obvious. A lot of them have fever, chills, runny nose, sore throat. I'm just listing off symptoms that I have this week. But some of the symptoms are very common and are found among most diseases, and some of them are very, very specific to a certain kind of disease. In the video that I did of the 5 diseases in D&D, eye rot is one of them, where it literally causes bleeding from the eyes. That is a very obvious symptom for that disease. So what you want to do when you're coming up with your own disease is decide, okay, what are some of the early symptoms that could be pretty much anything, and then what is the one big symptom that if I told a cleric who's, all about this stuff, I told them, hey, I have this symptom, they're gonna go, oh, I know exactly what you have. So what is that symptom for your disease? And then finally, of course, you want to think about the cure. Now here's the problem. Most diseases can be cured by the Paladin's Lay On of Hands abilities, which they only have to have 5 Paladin points. What do you want to call them? I don't even know what to call them. I call them Paladin points. But you only need 5 Paladin points to be able to cure any disease, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, and I feel like needs fixed to make diseases viable. But it doesn't have to be the case. You don't have to let magic be the get out of jail free card for your players. What if your disease is actually one that has been sent by an angry god? Perhaps it's a celestial disease that there is no mortal magic that can fix it. They have to seek out this deity's will and do whatever it is that this deity is commanding in order for them to take away this disease from a particular person or from an entire region. If you want to make this a plot point, which diseases as a plot point are excellent and really, really bring some weight to the situation, because it's not just the players now that they have to worry about all the people, which is big responsibility. So if you want this god to lift their curse from a whole region, maybe you have to go and find a stolen artifact and return it to their shrine, and then they will lift the curse of this disease. Don't be afraid to make it to where magic isn't the end-all be-all. Perhaps some adventurers opened a crypt. Maybe it was even your adventurers. Perhaps they opened a crypt and they unleashed some kind of ancient curse or this ancient disease that was around before magic was even a thing. And magic can't cure it. How are they going to fix it? Well, perhaps the cure in this case could be finding, I don't know, I'm still sick. I'm tired. They could find something to fix it. But if you want diseases to be a more intricate part of your plot and not just be something throwaway that your paladin comes up and goes, I do lay on of hands, and they're all better, then you're gonna wanna intertwine that more in your campaign or in your plot. Otherwise, diseases are going to be relegated pretty much to low-level parties. Yeah, they're a threat for low-level parties. Your higher levels, they're just gonna, cast a major restoration or something like that and be done with it. Unless, instead, you use curses. So curses are like the diseases, but for higher-level parties. At least that's how I like to think of them. In my particular campaign, I've got a group that let's say enjoys the more illegal things in life and will literally steal anything that is not nailed to the floor. And so to let them know that perhaps they shouldn't just take any magical item from any shop for any reason, I put a curse on one of the items. And of course, they immediately put it on and attune to it without seeking out any kind of identify spell or anything like that, just like I knew they would. It's a golden snake bracelet that looks like a snake that's all coiled up. You put it on, and after you attune to it, it actually unwinds and slithers up your forearm and bites into the skin. And then after 1d4 days, it begins the process of actually turning the player into a Yanti, which is a snake person. And so right now, this high elf noble is panicking because he's turning into a snake person, and he's not excited about that. But that is a cursed item. This curse has now led them down a whole rabbit trail of things, trying to figure out what this thing is, how they can fix it, and if there's anyone around who can do that, or where they need to go to be able to fix it. That has been really, really, really fun and satisfying for me as a DM. Sorry about ya, my players. But these curses, magical items, curses from the gods, curses even from devils, perhaps someone made a deal and negated on that deal, and so they've unleashed a curse upon their family or their hometown. Curses like that can also make incredible plot points or side quests, or however you want to deal with it, that adds some weight and some danger to the game that wouldn't be there otherwise. Yes, monsters are fun, but monsters are a clear end point. It's very obvious what you can do to stop a monster. You kill it. It's not so obvious what you need to do to cure a disease or a curse. It requires more investigation. It requires more effort than simply slay the beast. I love monster hunts, you know that I do, but sometimes it's really intriguing and super fun to throw in a disease or a curse to your players to get them thinking, to get them problem solving, and maybe even to move your plot ahead to wherever it is that you're going. Anyway, I most certainly am going to be using diseases and curses even more in my campaigns than I already am. I hope that you found this helpful and enjoyable. Let me know what diseases and curses that you create for your campaign and how it all works out for you. I would love to hear those down in the comments below. Also, if you want more diseases, I'm currently working on a whole little book of diseases and random curses that I will be putting out on my Patreon page. So make sure that you go over support Halfling Hobbies on Patreon so that you can get some really cool exclusive content every month. And until next time, my friends, may your game have advantage. Halfling Hannah here, signing out.